Bibles in Matthew chapter 15, please. Matthew chapter 15. In the culture we're living in today, is the mic all right, John? In the culture we're living in today, it troubles me that so many parents have prodigal children. We've all experienced it at one time or another, maybe, or maybe you're here this morning and you said, I've never had a prodigal child. Well, just wait, you just may. You never know. And we're going to look this morning at some things we can do, because I, more than anything else, want to start seeing your kids who have wandered away from the Lord come back. I'm up here now, and if I can be of any help to any of them, that I could just talk to them, take them to breakfast. We have a lot of people in this church who have kids that have wandered away from the Lord, who maybe used to come to church or used to Sunday school and stuff, but they don't anymore. And they've turned their back on God. So I'm going to help you this morning, I hope. And I'm going to give you 5 things that you can do in order to see your child come back home. I'm going to take the story we're going to read first, and then I'm going to also add in a little bit of the prodigal son. Matthew chapter 15, verse 21. Jesus went from there and departed into the borders of Tyre and Sidon. And behold, a woman of Canaan, now she wasn't a Christian woman, she was a pagan, came out of the same borders and cried unto the Lord, saying, Have mercy on me, O Lord, thou son of David. My daughter is grievously vexed with a demon. Now, somehow she heard about Jesus. Somehow all the idols that she prayed to, all the people that she talked to, all the things that she did as a pagan didn't work. So out of desperation, she goes to Jesus. He's traveling through this country, and she hears about it, and she comes. She's at her last straw. She has nobody else to turn to. Her daughter has a demon. So she cries out to the Lord. She calls him Lord, son of David. And she said, my daughter is vexed with a demon. And this is very unusual. But the next verse says, he answered her not a word. Does that sound like Jesus? When you look at this, you say, what in the world? We're told all the time if we ask anything in his name, if it's in his will, he'll do it. She's crying out to this person she didn't know, who she must have had some faith in, and he didn't say a word back to her. What do you do when you speak to people and they don't talk back to you? Huh? You do? And then what? Walk away, don't you? Because it's ignorant not to respond when somebody talks to you, but you're going to see why he did this. And his disciples came and besought him, saying, Send her away, for she crieth after us. His disciples said, Get rid of this crazy woman. She's crying and she's hollering at us, and get rid of her. That's what we talked about. Just walk away. Verse 24. But he answered and said, I am not sent but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel. There's the second thing that's unusual. Jesus said, I came for the Jewish people. She's a pagan. I didn't come for her. Unusual, right? Look at verse 25. Then came she and worshipped him, saying, Lord, help me. Did she quit asking? You know what? Sometimes we pray and pray and pray and pray, and then we quit asking, don't we? Because we figure God's not going to answer our prayers. She didn't quit. Even though he ignored her, even though he said he didn't come for her, she didn't quit. Now tell me why. Why didn't she quit? Come on, you can talk. It's Sunday morning. She's desperate, and she loves her daughter, and she wants more than anything else for her to be healed. Next one. But he answered and said, It is not right to take the children's bread and to cast it to dogs. Whoa! He ignores her. He tells her he's not there for her. And what did he just call her? Now, what would you do if somebody went through that with you? Would you keep going? Or would you say phooey? Phooey. Huh? Yeah? Well, you see how desperate she is. Now, don't get a wrong impression of Jesus, okay? Because there's a purpose to this whole thing. And it's something we can teach, we can learn. First of all, you don't quit asking Jesus anything. Don't ever quit. Oh, but my son and my daughter, they've been away from me for years. They'll never come back. Don't quit. You don't know. We're going to see that this morning. And she saith, truth, Lord, yet the dogs eat of the crumbs which fall from their master's table. Lord, just give me a crumb of your power. Just give me a crumb of help. That's all I ask, just a crumb. Then Jesus said unto her, O woman, great is thy faith. Be it unto thee even as thou wilt. Her daughter was made well from the very hour. What was the purpose for Jesus saying those things and doing this thing? Anybody have an idea?
Make sure that she was sincere about her.
Okay. These were all hurdles, folks. They were hurdles that Jesus wanted her to jump over. And every time she jumped over, her faith increased, correct? We have hurdles in life all the time, and Jesus wants us to just jump over them and get through them because he wants our faith to grow. All right? Now, as I said this morning, we're going to talk about prodigal children. And I'm not keeping score. I don't know families, but I'm sure that there's some here today that have children that have wandered off. Might have been raised in this church, might have had Sunday school here, Bible school, might have accepted the Lord here, but you know what? Where are they? Are they here? No. So let's see if we can do some things to maybe get them back. Are you in agreement with that? Yes. All right. Now, the first thing you need to do is ask the Lord to change you. Oh, wait, we're talking about prodigals. No. We ask the Lord to change you. You see, in this story we just looked at, God was not only interested in healing this little girl, he was interested in what? The mother. You see, sometimes we as parents need a touch from the Lord too. Now, I'm not saying this morning that the reason your children are prodigal, it's all your fault, because it's not. But there are some times where we have contributed to their actions. And this is what I want to share. Sometimes we have done things in the past that have contributed to the way they act. First of all, sometimes we're judgmental, and that drives them away. Other times we have unreasonable discipline. We have harsh discipline for our kids when they're growing up. Sometimes that drives them away. Sometimes we're self-righteous, like we're always right, and they can't ever be. Sometimes there's favoritism. Sometimes we favor one child over another. Now, we had 6 kids altogether. And I know who's my favorite, but I would never admit it. Ruth, you have a favorite? No. But I know if I had to pick one, I would pick one. But I don't ever say who it is. And I never treat them with favoritism. I try not to, at least. Sometimes if you say, well, your older brother always got straight A's, what about you? Your older brother, your older sister was an athletic star. How about you? Sometimes that drives them away. And it's our fault, right? How about legalism? Our girls, when they were young, grew up in a legalistic Christian school. They weren't allowed to wear pants. In order for them to get the dress code, they had to kneel down on the ground and make sure their skirt touched the ground, or they got kicked out that day. Chuck, one day, when he went out to school, he didn't have a belt on. He just ran out. They put a piece of rope around him to hold his pants up because he didn't have a belt. Every day they had to wear collared shirts, no T-shirts. That's legalism. Now, our girls were raised with that, but we didn't practice it at home, but some do. And sometimes the legalism of ourselves drive them away. How about anger? Sometimes we get angry and they see it. Sometimes we have pride. Now listen to this one. Our children wander off and get into trouble. And we can say, I can't believe that's my daughter. I can't believe how she's disgraced the family. Folks, it's not only the family that's been disgraced, it's God. And we still got to love them. No matter what they do, we got to love them. So basically, we ask the Lord to change us. That's the first step. You should ask the Lord, is there anything we did when we were raising our kids that might have contributed to their way they are now? Okay? There were two people in this story that God wanted to change, wasn't there? The little girl healer and the mother to increase her faith. Here's your second one for your kids. What you got to do is tell the Lord, he or she is yours. He or she is yours. You must kind of relinquish the child, and we have to realize that the child belongs to God. Your daughter, your son belong to God. And you don't need to preach at them all the time. Because sometimes when we know they're in trouble, when they have stuff going on in their lives that we don't approve of, we harp on it all the time. Let me ask you a question. Does it do any good? None. So we say, God, they're yours. Okay? We relinquish our, not responsibility, because they're always our responsibility, but we relinquish the way we act towards them. Here's the third one. You ask God to change their heart. Change their heart. Again, if we bring up things that they do that's wrong, is there anything we can do to overcome the sin that they may be in? There's only one person that can change the heart, isn't there? It's God. It's God. And it doesn't work, as I said. We can't compel our children to obedience. God has to change their heart. Can you make the deaf hear? Can you make the blind see? No, you can't. But God can. So we say, we ask you to change their heart. The third thing is, let sin run its course. Now, this is a hard one. When they're in sin and they're doing things that we don't approve of, it's very difficult not to help them in every way we can. I heard of a lady whose son was in and out of trouble with the law. She spent $200,000 bailing him out, lawyers, getting him out of trouble. But it didn't do any good. It didn't do any good. Sometimes you got to let sin run its course. Sin run its course. Listen, the father of the prodigal son, when the prodigal son was in the pig pen eating, could he have gone out to where this son was and said, hey boy, how about if I buy you a dinner? Because you're not eating very well. That wouldn't have helped him. You know why? Because the Bible said when he realized his condition, he came to himself and came home. If dad and mom are always helping them, bailing them out, and getting them out of trouble, sometimes it doesn't work as much as them coming to themselves. They got to realize that a transgression, a life of transgression is very hard. But they have to learn that lesson for themselves. All right, let's see. We say, examine yourself. change my heart. He's yours. Change their heart. It's God's job. And let sin run its course. Here's the last one. I'm going to stay and wait for them to come home. I'm going to stay and welcome them home. You don't close them out. You don't stop loving them. You don't kick them out of the family. You hang around. And when they come around, you love them and welcome them. What did the prodigal son's father do? The boy's coming home. He sees him. He runs to him. Get the robe. Get the ring. Get the fatted cow. My son has returned. They're the things that you can do right now to try and get your kids to come back. Now, is it going to work every time? No. But it gives you guidelines for what you can do in order to see your kids come around. And I'm telling you again, if I can help in any way, if they would talk to me, I'm not unapproachable. And if I could talk to them, even if it's a husband or a wife, let me know. Because maybe we can get them back. Maybe we can get them back if you practice these principles. Questions. I always ask for questions. Anybody? Nobody. All right. We're going to go to the Lord.